Kael hit the chapel's cracked tile on one knee, a steel collar screaming in his grip like a living thing. And outside the broken stained glass windows, Hunter's footfalls were getting louder. Because the system had stamped him, Anomaly Contain, and tonight it wanted a leash around his throat. The old roadside chapel still pretended to be holy. Whitewashed walls, faded saints, a dry stone basin with a thread of clean water. And hovering over the altar, calm as a lie, the blue letters that had almost made Kael cry when he saw them. Sanctuary, neutral zone. Neutral, safe, no violence, no skills. Kael had believed it for exactly 3 breaths. The collar bucked again, jerking his arm like a hooked fish, and the faint Glutton sigil on the back of his hand pulsed with a heat that wasn't warmth. It was hunger recognizing food. A cold message flickered over the collar, the font sharp and official. Containment relic. Model Halo 3, authorized for anomaly suppression. Warning, contact confirms target signature. The metal didn't just want to be worn, it wanted to close. Kael's hollow cheeks tightened. His amber eyes tracked the chapel doors, then the windows, then the half-collapsed roof where moonlight came in like a blade. He could hear them now, 3 sets of boots on asphalt, then a 4th lighter tread. Guild, rankers, or worse, his stomach clenched like a fist, not from fear, from craving. Because the collar's scream wasn't only sound, it was power. It was a piece of the system that had been forged to bind someone like him, and Kael's body knew the truth of his class better than any floating text ever could. He could devour anything, even this. But the neutral zone pressed down on him like a hand on the back of his neck. The air tasted clean and sterile, and every time the hunger surged, it met an invisible wall, as if the sanctuary itself was telling his class to stay seated. Kael tightened his grip until his scarred forearm trembled. The collar jerked, twisting toward his throat like it could smell his pulse. No, he breathed, and the word came out thin. A new set of blue letters blinked into existence above the altar, softer than an alarm, but more terrifying because it sounded certain. Neutral zone violation detected. Warning, anomaly activity. So even thinking about eating it counted. Outside, a voice called, muffled through the broken doors. Sanctuary's intact. He can't fight inside. Another voice amused. He doesn't need to fight. He needs to be collared. Kael's jaw flexed. He had been running since the day the system ranked the world and tossed him the only class it didn't understand. No skills, no stats, just hunger that grew teeth. He'd slept under stairs. He'd eaten rats. He'd eaten monsters. And every time he devoured something strong, the hunger didn't go away. It got smarter. The collar's scream rose in pitch, and Kael realized the relic wasn't only reacting to him, it was sending a beacon. It wanted the hunters to find him. He looked down at the altar, at the shallow groove where the collar had rested like an offering. There were scratches there, old, repeated, as if other hands had tried to lift it and failed. His fingers slid along the cold metal and found tiny etched script on the inside rim. Not system font, human. A prayer half worn away. Do not feed the halo. Kael's breath hitched. Of course, a trap that punished hunger. Outside, the boots reached the chapel steps. The sanctuary's blue letters shimmered as if sensing an approaching argument. Kael had one choice that felt like 2 knives. If he put the collar on, the system would own his throat. If he didn't, the hunters would. His amber eyes flicked to the basin of clean water. His throat hurt just looking at it. He hadn't had clean water in, he didn't even know. His stomach snarled, and the Glutton sigil burned brighter, as if offended that he was considering anything but eating. The doors boomed, not breaking, knocked, polite. Kael, a new voice called, clear and confident, like it belonged to someone who always had the right to be heard. By sanctuary law, we can't harm you in there. Step away from the relic. We're here to escort you for evaluation. Evaluation. Kael tasted the word like blood. He'd seen what evaluation meant on the cracked highway screens. People lined up in cages, blue text floating over their heads, their classes rewritten like mistakes. He wasn't a mistake, he was an appetite. The collar yanked again, and this time it slipped from his hands, clattered across the altar, and rolled toward the chapel's center aisle, stopping perfectly in the middle like it had been placed there, waiting. The sanctuary's air vibrated. Kael felt it then. The neutral zone wasn't simply a rule, it was a mechanism, a circle drawn around a baited hook. If he tried to devour the collar, the sanctuary would register it as violence. If he tried to run, he'd have to leave the neutral zone and face the hunter's skills. And if he stayed, the relic would keep screaming until it pulled itself onto him. Kael swallowed, and his throat clicked with dryness. His eyes tracked the chapel's interior like a starving wolf measuring a fence. Faded pews, a shattered confessional, a stone statue of a saint missing its hands, and in the back corner, a rusted collection box chained to the wall. A stupid thought sparked. Not power, not skills, just physics. Neutral zone rules didn't stop him from moving furniture. Kael moved. He slid low, silent, and ripped a pew free with a grunt, the old wood squealing. The sanctuary didn't flash any warning, no violence, just a boy dragging broken lumber. He shoved the pew across the aisle, blocking the collar like a barricade. The collar shivered. Then, with a metallic scrape, it started to crawl. Not rolling. Crawling. Like a spider made of steel, Kael's stomach lurched with a sick thrill. The hunter's laughter sounded from outside. You see it? It's already choosing him. Kael backed toward the confessional, eyes never leaving the relic. If it could move, it could choose. If it could choose, it could adapt. And if it could adapt, then it could learn. He ducked into the confessional's shadow. The wood was splintered. The small window was shattered, leaving jagged edges like teeth. He pressed his hand to his mouth, thinking fast. His class was hunger, but hunger wasn't only eating. Hunger was pulling. Hunger was taking. He stared at the broken window, at the charred edges, then at his own hand. The faint sigil glowed. Not a skill, not a stat. A mark, a promise. Outside, the polite voice spoke again. Kael, we can keep this civil. The sanctuary will hold you until we bring the proper containment team. You don't want to be outside when they arrive. Containment team. Kael's mind flashed a memory he didn't want. The altar, the collar, the message. Anomaly, contain. He exhaled. Then he did the one thing that felt like cheating the system without breaking its rules. He didn't devour the collar, he devoured the sanctuary. Not the whole building, just the lie. Kael pressed his palm, sigil blazing, against the confessional wall and focused on the clean, sterile pressure in the air, the way it suppressed him. He imagined biting into that pressure, chewing it, swallowing the rule itself. The hunger surged so hard his vision blurred. A blue warning flashed immediately above his hand. Neutral zone violation. But another line stuttered under it, as if the system didn't know what category to file him under. Error, class interaction undefined. Kael's teeth clenched. Sweat ran cold down his spine. The sanctuary's pressure cracked. Just a hairline fracture in the air, and the taste hit his tongue. Not metal, not flesh. Law. He swallowed, and the neutral zone's grip loosened for half a second. That half second was everything. Kael shot out of the confessional like an arrow. The collar was halfway over the pew barricade, metal legs scrabbling. He snatched it mid-crawl. The relic shrieked. Kael didn't hesitate. He opened his mouth and bit down on cold steel. The pain rang through his skull, but it wasn't like breaking a tooth on a rock. It was like biting into a live wire. Blue text erupted across his vision. Devour. The word wasn't offered. It was dragged. Kael's hunger pulled, and the collar fought back. A second voice entered the scream, calm, synthetic, drowning him in authority. Containment protocol initiated. The metal tried to snap shut around his jaw. Kael's eyes widened. He pushed more hunger in. The glutton sigil flared, and for one brutal instant the collar's scream changed. It stopped sounding like a warning, and started sounding like fear. Outside, the chapel doors burst inward, because neutrality didn't matter when you were sure you'd already won. 3 figures stepped through the dust. 2 wore gilt leathers with polished shoulder plates, their system tags hovering faintly above them. Between them strode a taller man in a clean black coat with a silver insignia that made the air feel colder. An enforcer, a system-certified hunter. His eyes locked on Kael's glowing hand, then on the collar half inside Kael's mouth. His expression shifted from smugness to alarm. "Stop," he barked. "Drop it, now." The sanctuary's blue letters flickered violently. Neutral zone compromised. Kael felt the rules slip. Skills returned like knives unsheathing. The two guild hunters' auras flared, one with a warrior's heavy pressure, one with something sharp and fast. And the enforcer raised his hand. A floating blue seal assembled above his palm like a stamp. Kael didn't wait to learn what it did. He finished the bite. The collar collapsed into light and shards, pouring into him like molten ice. His throat burned. His stomach roared. Blue text hammered his vision in rapid, unstable lines. Containment relic devour successful. New trait acquired, Halo log. Warning, trait is restricted. Anomaly threat, index increased. Then another line appeared, quieter, and it made Kael's blood go cold. System attention, direct. The enforcer's seal snapped forward. Kael's new hunger taste of law twisted inside him. Instinct, freshly stolen, made his hand move. He slammed his palm onto the ground. A thin ring of pale blue light spread out from his fingers like a collar laid flat. The enforcer's eyes widened. The guild hunters froze mid-step, as if an invisible chain had caught their ankles. Because Kael had just used the relic's purpose against them. Not to contain himself, to contain anyone he could mark. The ring tightened. The two guild hunters slammed to their knees, faces contorting as the air around their throats shimmered with faint spectral bands. The sanctuary's last shred of neutrality died in a pop of blue sparks. Kael staggered, half laughing, half choking, as his new trait dug hooks into his own body too. Because a collar doesn't care who wears it. But he had a window. He ripped the chapel's chained donation box from the wall with raw desperation and hurled it through the stained glass window. Glass exploded outward into the night. Kael dove through the opening after it, shredding his cloak, slicing his forearms, and the pain only made his hunger louder. He hit the gravel outside and rolled. Behind him, the enforcer tore free of the spectral ring with a snarl, his seal flaring brighter. He stole a containment relic. The two guild hunters were still gasping, fingers clawing at their own throats as if trying to peel off invisible metal. Kael didn't look back. He ran. The highway beyond the chapel stretched into darkness, littered with broken system screens that blinked like dying eyes. The air tasted of ash again, dirty, familiar, honest. And inside Kael, something new sat heavy and cold. A lock, a leash he had swallowed. His hunger tested it, prodding the edges, and for the first time, Kael felt fear that wasn't of dying. Fear that he'd eaten something that could bite from the inside.